Greeting, Irish Nation and Irish haters. Commitments have been made, transfers decided, practices are in motion, games are slated, bowl games with unknown participants, with a national champion uncrowned. But to play like a champion, you need to talk like a champion. Welcome back, Irish Nation. Hope you guys are doing great this week and all things are going well for you. I am back again, Mr. CeeLo here. We're here to talk to you about probably the toughest game on our schedule, at least so we thought before going in, and our biggest rival in the USC Trojans from Southern California. Ladies and gentlemen, this was probably the one game I honestly thought was going to be the question mark on the schedule. Little did I know that it was going to be the Louisville Cardinal and the Ohio State Buckeyes. Guys, we have to be nothing short of disappointed with this season. With the loss to Louisville, it just really destroys any hope that we have of being in the playoff picture. And honestly, we have to move past it and look forward to one of our biggest rivals and possibly flipping some recruits that we previously had lost. And first thing we got to do is we have to rebound. Now, I will say this. Do I think USC is a team we could do that against? Possibly. Because USC's defense has shown a lot of promise to put points up against. But we'll talk about that shortly. The first thing I want to really discuss is whether or not we can stop Caleb Williams. Because if we get into a track meet, you asked me about 3 or 4 months ago, I would have told you, with Sam Hartman, we would have been able to do it. But looking at Jared Parker's inability to utilize what Sam Hartman brings to the table has really been a problem. Because here's the reality of it. This is a guy that can do all things. He can throw all the balls. And the problem seems to be, I don't trust him. And I get it. We've had problems at receiver injury-wise, but I will never sit here and say that we ain't got guys who can make plays. Hartman threw up one for Terrico Flores, who obviously doesn't know anything about a back shoulder fade. So, that doesn't mean you don't do it for Jaden Thomas or you don't do it for Tobias Merriweather or even Jaden Grayhouse. But let's take a look at a couple of things that we can. Of course, we all know about Caleb Williams, the Heisman. I can't say he's the front runner anymore. I mean, really, it's hard to say if he truly is the front runner. But we're looking at, and this is an understatement, Notre Dame's offense is in a slump. And I think a lot of it has to do with Jared Parker. You're sitting here trying to make Audric Estime the guy, whereas other offensive coordinators say, okay, everybody's thinking, and this is the same old thing that's happening with Notre Dame every year. We get 3, 4, 5 games where we're running the ball down people's throats. Everybody's like, Notre Dame's either back or Notre Dame's going to be this. Then you get a team in here that's just going to stop the run. You don't even formulate a plan as to how you're going to hit a defense when they stop you. But I'll get into that more than anything else. But right now, this team is pretty much about to finish up what I call their gauntlet. Whereas USC is about to hit the meat and potatoes of their gauntlet. We have a bye coming up, and it couldn't come at a worse time, and people are going to say better time. I looked at it from how in the world did we end up with a bye after we done played Ohio State and Duke, whereas Ohio State got a blame bye right after they played us, and you're looking at USC. Now I will say this: USC's got a heck of a run coming up. You know, I'm gonna be honest with you. The Pac-12 didn't do these guys any justice when it came to these guys' schedules, because after us, they go on a run where they go to Utah, a team that has had their number. Then they're at California. Don't sleep on that one. Then they go to Washington. Then they have Washington come in, and then they go to the Austin Zoo, and then they finish up at UCLA. So really, USC's schedule early was kind of a savior for their season, because they are about to finish one of the toughest 5-game, 6-game stretches really I have ever seen. I have never seen a stretch this tough, you guys. So USC's going to have to bring it every week. Now, I know people are thinking maybe USC is going to sleep because they got Utah, a team they have not beaten. Oh, and by the way, they don't have a bye in between any of these games. Not a one. So people are thinking USC is going to sleep on this game. Well, here's my attitude. Do I want to win this game? But I don't want USC. I don't want us to beat USC because they looked at Utah instead of looking directly at us. I want your best. But we look at us, and it's like, really? We get a bye after this game, and then we get a bye after Clemson. For Wake Forest and Stanford? Somebody scheduled this all wrong. At least give us USC right here at the end. Well, as I said before, let's go down through the tail of the tape, as I call it. I think ultimately what's going to win this game for Notre Dame is going to be that third corner. You know, we've got to be able to stop these little guys running around, and USC has some really good wide receivers that they can get open. And Caleb Williams' ability to scramble and get open, get guys open and throw guys open, is just what's really got the NFL scouts drooling. And being able to avoid pressure up front. And Notre Dame's pass rush has not been great. Now Riley Mills has been pretty good, but he's just not been able to get as much pressure as you would like. He played a pretty good game against Louisville, but it was one of those games that didn't show up well for us. Notre Dame, if you think about it, they have to come up with a more dynamic way of getting to the quarterback. And I mean, when I say dynamic, we've got to have some pass rushers. Al Golden is selling out on third and longs, and I mean, the way our run defense is, we might as well be selling out on first down. I mean, we're not tackling the ball well. We're one of the worst tackling teams in the nation. We really are, and surprising considering how many seniors we have. But we just got to. I guess we could call this into question. Maybe Notre Dame's stamina was a question. I don't know. Maybe the guys were gassed, but they're missing tackles early in games. They are. I will say this: they are kind of crisp after about the second or third series. But I will say this: in the Duke game and in the Louisville game, the defense did have an excuse because the offense was not good. And see, that's you. Now I can't say that's a reflection of Al Golden, because you keep a team that's down. And the amount of points that we lost in the Ohio State game and nearly lost in the Duke game, and the way Louisville kept punching and punching and punching away, and you ain't figuring nothing out. So yeah, I can kind of say that's not on Al Golden. I can say a lot of it's on Jared Parker. But look in here, right now, I think probably one thing that's going to play in our favor is it's going to be a wet game. Well, that's what the forecast is saying. There's going to be wet, possible rain. And it's not saying it's going to rain, but it's talking about how it's going to, possibly a wet field and possibly some showers. But Notre Dame ranks third nationally with 146 passing yards allowed a game, which I thought was huge considering Plummer of Louisville didn't do as wasn't as effective as we thought. But then again, also he challenged Morrison, who didn't make him pay. And Kim Hart, I haven't seen much of. Maybe that's because they don't throw at him. I don't know. USC averages 355 yards a game passing the ball. So I can tell you right now, USC's not going to fool with either one of them. They might challenge Morrison, seeing that Plummer was able to have some success, but we knew safety was a problem, and honestly, these two guys, they don't tackle exceptionally well, and then there's times in coverage that they've whiffed. We already said, I ain't going to put the kid out there, but he could have finished the Ohio State game, and he didn't. Notre Dame is tied nationally with average of 5.5 yards allowed per attempt. That's their defense. And offensively, USC is tied for third with averaging 10.5 yards of passing yards per attempt. So it's almost gonna be like strength versus strength. So, but I'm gonna tell you right now, Notre Dame's defense, even against Ohio State, their defense wasn't as efficient as it could have been. And that's very tough to look at when you've got guys like Morrison and you've got Hart on the other side. The thing that makes a corner as effective as he is not just his coverage, but his ability, the front seven's ability to get pressure. And I think Al Golden has tried his best to get it, but the thing is you have to come up with more creative ways to get to the quarterback. And what I mean by that is you got to run more stunts. Put guys in that box to make it look like you're coming and then back out of it. Or even make it look like, you got guys coming and just go ahead and bring them all. Running the ball, it's really a funny thing. Because USC runs it very little, but then when you look at Notre Dame, this is surprising to me. This must have came from all of the stats that they had from the Tennessee State and the Navy game, because there ain't no way we're only giving up 3.6 yards a carry. There ain't no way, because we gave up way more than that against Louisville. Now, a lot of people are going to say, well, it wasn't that bad. I mean, it was just one guy. Yeah, true, but problem with it is it just kept happening. And USC ranks 6th nationally, averaging 6 yards a carry. That means when they run the ball, they get good gains. That's what happens when you have the flip side of a guy like Caleb Williams. And see, this is why when you have a guy like Audric Estime, you should be able to throw the ball, Jared Parker. Take some hits from USC. When you got a superstar quarterback, they're able to run the ball, and they don't even run it that much. But when they do run it, they run it effectively and they run it efficiently. Looking at the scoring way, of course, Notre Dame is 15th nationally in yards in points given up. USC ranks number 1 in points scored. So you've got, like I said, you've got a pretty good. I guess I'm a little bit hard on the defense because these guys miss so many damn tackles, and I'm not really big on. I don't like when you've got a good defense and you can sit there and say there's room for improvement. I'm talking about major improvements. So you're talking about right now, if Notre Dame's defense was as good tackling the ball as they were against Navy and Tennessee State, we'd be talking about us going for a national title. Because you're talking about 2 really big plays, the Travion Williams and the little guy from Louisville, his run. That's what separated the games. And I know a lot of people are going to say, well, we lost by 13 points, so how did you figure that? Well, that changed the momentum of the game. And he had several big runs. It was on first, second, or third down, and even the one he broke on. He changed the whole complexity of the game, not the 230-pound Estime. See, that's where Jared Parker's sitting there. He's got to come up with a creative way. And the only way you lose with a team like this is unless you have inept coaching. Sorry, Jared Parker, I got to put you out there. First year, I get it, you're inexperienced, but you shouldn't have been put behind the wheel of a Ferrari. And I got to put a little blame to Marcus Freeman. Maybe they make a change at the bye week and go looking elsewhere. Because I'm gonna tell you something. You had a guy like you know, I can't remember who the head coach was for Auburn, but I love this guy. He was phenomenal. Watching him go against that Georgia defense and running that misdirection, that spread, and Kerryon Johnson just bullying through them. You have to be able to make them pay. Now let's go to Notre Dame's offense. I know I've talked a lot about them already. But as I said, a lot has been made by myself as well. By and I mean, and I just said it. I think a lot of it, there's a lot to be said for Notre Dame's numbers, and them being inflated possibly by those games that they played against, I would say, decent opponents. You can't throw NC State out there because NC State gave Louisville a game. They were actually beating Louisville. And there was never once that you thought Notre Dame was about to even kill this game against Louisville. And that's Jared Parker's fault. You know, you got a big monster in the running back, and you cannot let them put 8, 9 guys in the box and say, and not make them pay for it. Can't do it. You have had now 7 weeks, and before that 6 weeks for these teams to look at you and say, that's where we're going. Did you ever stop to think that maybe Louisville struggled with NC State because they were looking ahead? Just a thought. But let's look at USC and Caleb Williams. Well, they haven't had the best defense, and I guess a lot of it has to stem from when you play with Caleb Williams, everybody's going to be playing catch-up. They're going to be playing catch-up. So we really haven't had to see them playing a slobber knocker. A game where it's... And I think ultimately, the question is going to be, is USC going to be able to play that kind of game with Notre Dame? And is it going to be finesse versus strength versus finesse? And honestly, this could go south. And I know everybody's saying keep the ball away from the Trojans. But ultimately, what you want to do is wear them down with estimate. But Parker, you got to be willing to take your shots down the field and back those safeties up, which you failed to do against Louisville. Looking here, Notre Dame ranks 41st nationally with an average of 267 yards passing a game. USC ranks 113th, one of the worst passing defenses in the country at 264.3. That was on full display against Colorado. Now, Shadir Sanders is a good quarterback, but that's the same thing with Sam Hartman. A lot of people are predicting he bounces back this week, but unfortunately for that, what's probably going to happen is they're going to have to get behind and they're going to have to go to a prevent. Well, hopefully we're not doing that. Hopefully we're having to go to a prevent. But pass yards per attempt, Indy is tied nationally with 9.3 yards per attempt. USC is tied 69th, giving up 7.3 yards an attempt. And you look at this defense, and they've got some fast guys. They're just not really good in covering. But a lot of times what happens is USC has been in games where it's been either a track meet. I think the first game where they were really held in check was, and I really can't say it was held in check, was the Arizona game. And, that was somewhat of a track meet, but it wasn't. But this is the interesting stat that I'm looking at right now. So you're going to be looking at a team in Notre Dame that ranks 53rd nationally with 171 rushing yards a game. USC's ranked 89th with giving up 157. Now, see, that's concerning if you're a USC Trojan fan because you really have not played any high-powered like offenses to be warranted giving up these type of numbers. But yet Notre Dame, truthfully, where would their numbers be had they played at least 2 more quality football teams? But like I said, that's less concerning because they did not play, and yet whereas USC has, and they have their numbers are not good. Rushing yards per carry, Notre Dame ranks 28 nationally with 5. Right at 5 yards a carry. USC is tied for 79th at giving up 4.1 yards, almost 4.2 yards a carry. Then we look at Notre Dame's ranked 35th in the nation at 34.1 points a game, which that's come down significantly given the last 4 games. It's really come down. I was excited, but I think what happened is Jared Parker was like, "Hey, we're just going to squeak by, do enough, and not give the game away." It's a good philosophy, but when you have a guy like Sam Hartman, why are you playing that way? What's the point in having a gunslinger like that back there? It's no sense. Points per game, Notre Dame ranks 35th with averaging 34.1 points. USC is tied national 76 in points allowed at 27. So, looking at this, you guys, I have high hopes for our Irish, but I ultimately think it's going to come down to who ends up with the ball last. And the way I look at it, more than likely it's going to be us. So, as I said earlier, I think we win early in the year. I think we win by a field goal, but I think it's going to be a huge challenge, especially knowing that we've got a serious push to make if we're even going to be considered for a New Year's Six bowl. And we've got to have a lot of cards falling our way if we can even come close to getting back in the college football playoff. Not saying it can't happen, but it would be a tall order. You need a lot of teams to lose. And we would have to destroy USC and destroy everything else left on our schedule. Sorry, you guys. But that's going to do it for us, guys. I would say the score will probably be 31-28. Notre Dame. But guys, that is going to do it for us. Be sure to go by the Facebook page and check us out. See what I got going on, whether I have any type of polls. And also go by my Instagram. I haven't updated it lately, but I've been so swamped. And let us know what you guys are thinking. Any kind of suggestions on the show. As well as making sure you like and subscribe when you get ready to leave here. So many of you great comments, guys. I really do appreciate all the love that you guys have been giving me. It is such a pleasure to really be sitting here watching what you guys have been saying, and it's really, I have a lot of gratitude for you guys and a lot of love. So many of you have made some really awesome comments on the show, and I'm so grateful for that because you guys are just so adamant, just like I am, so adamant about the show, so adamant about what you're seeing. Thank you so much, Tanya, for the like. I love the feedback. You guys are going to make us allow us to go live sooner or later, and we definitely appreciate all the feedback that you guys are giving us because it means a lot. It helps us on the show, and we will see you guys in a couple of days. But until the next time, may God hold you in the palm of His hands.